The transport ship descended through layers of purple clouds, breaking into clear skies above the Valoran capital. Minji stood at the viewing port, her hands clasped behind her back in a posture of perfect calm. Inside, her heart hammered against her ribs. She had trained for combat, for war, for 100 different scenarios. No one had trained her to be a bride. "Princess will be landing in 10 minutes, Captain Hyun said from behind her. He had known her since she was 6 years old, back when she could barely hold a practice sword. Now she commanded respect from soldiers twice her age. "They're going to hate me," Minji said softly. "They already do. They hate all of us." Hyun moved to stand beside her. "They think we're barbarians because we come from a heavy world with dangerous animals. They think we're stupid because we only joined the galactic community 50 years ago." Minji watched the city grow larger below them. Towers of white crystal stretched toward the sky, connected by bridges that seemed to float on nothing. It was beautiful. It was also a cage she was walking into willingly. "The chairman could have sent anyone," she said. "Why me?" "Because you're his daughter. Because this marriage means Earth gets a seat at the big table. And because," Hyun paused, "because if things go wrong you can fight your way out." The ship touched down on a landing platform large enough to hold 50 vessels. The doors opened and heat rushed in. The Valoran sun was gentler than Earth's, the air thinner. Minji took a deep breath and stepped out into a world that felt like walking on a cloud. A crowd waited. Hundreds of Valorans in flowing robes of silver and gold. They were tall and slim, with skin that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. Beautiful people. Delicate people. They looked at her like she was something dragged from a swamp. Ambassador Soman rushed forward, her face tight with stress. "Princess Minji, welcome to Valora Prime. I apologize, but there have been some changes to the greeting ceremony." "What changes?" Before Soman could answer, a figure emerged from the crowd. He wore robes of deep blue threaded with gold, and a crown of light metal sat on his head. Emperor Taeyang. He was younger than Minji expected, perhaps 26 or 27. His face was handsome but cold. "Princess of Earth," he said in a voice meant to carry. "You have traveled far to join our great empire. It is our tradition that all who marry into the royal house must prove their worth." Minji said nothing. She had read about Valoran customs. This was not one of them. Taeyang smiled. It did not reach his eyes. "You will face the trial of worth. In our arena you will meet warriors of my household guard. If you can stand against them with honor, you will have earned your place," the crowd murmured. Some laughed behind their hands. "And if I refuse?" Minji asked. "Then the marriage cannot proceed. Earth will have insulted the Valoran Empire. Treaties will be broken." Taeyang spread his hands as if this was all very reasonable. But surely a warrior princess from the famous Deathworld has nothing to fear from a simple trial. There it was, the trap. Refuse and Earth loses everything it had worked for. Accept and provide entertainment for these people who thought humans were lesser beings. Captain Hyun stepped forward. This was not part of the agreement. "Agreements change," said a woman in red robes standing beside the Emperor. She looked old and sharp. "Unless the humans are too afraid?" Minji felt heat rise in her chest. Not anger. Something colder. She had felt it before on the battlefield when enemy soldiers thought she would break easily. "I accept," she said. Ambassador Soman looked like she might faint. Captain Hyun's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Emperor Taeyang's smile widened. "Excellent. The trial will begin in 3 hours. That gives you time to rest and prepare." He turned away, dismissing her like a servant. They were given rooms in the palace. Minji stood in hers, looking at herself in the mirror. She wore the formal dress Earth had sent with her, blue and white with gold threading. She looked like a princess. She needed to look like a fighter. Captain Hyun entered without knocking. "I brought your kit." He set down a black case. Minji opened it. Inside was her combat suit, flexible armor designed for Earth's gravity. Weapons were not included. The trial would be watched by thousands. It had to appear fair. "How bad is this going to be?" she asked. Hyun sat down heavily. "Their guards are trained fighters. But Minji, they're from a light world. Their gravity is 0.6 of Earth's. They're taller than us, but their bones are less dense. Their muscles are built for grace, not power." "They don't know what we are," Minji said quietly. "No. They think because we're shorter and heavier that we're clumsy. They see our thick bones and dense muscles as primitive." Hyun looked at her seriously. "You need to understand something. If you really fight, if you use what you've learned, you will hurt them badly." Minji thought about her training, about gravity chambers set to twice Earth normal, about instructors who had fought in real wars, about growing up on a planet where the wildlife could kill you and the weather could drown cities. They want to humiliate me, she said, to prove humans don't belong. Yes. Then I'll prove something else. She looked at Hyun. I need you to do something. Record everything. Every moment of the trial. Send it back to Earth in real time. Why? Because after today, the galaxy needs to understand what humans are. Not what they think we are. What we really are. She began changing into her combat suit. We've been patient. We've been diplomatic. We've let them treat us like children. The chairman won't like this. My father sent me here knowing this might happen. He chose me because I'm his daughter, yes. But also because I trained with the military. Because I fought in the border conflicts. Minji sealed the suit and felt it adjust to her body. In Velaran gravity, she would move like wind. They want a trial of worth. I'll give them one they never forget. 3 hours later, Minji walked through corridors of crystal toward the arena. Velaran guards escorted her, keeping their distance. She could hear the roar of a crowd beyond the doors. Ambassador Soman caught up to her, nearly running. Princess, please. You don't have to do this. We can negotiate. They'll take that as weakness. They'll respect you more for choosing peace. Minji stopped walking and looked at the ambassador. No, they won't. They'll see it as proof that humans are soft. That we'll back down when pushed. She started walking again. I'm done backing down. The doors opened. Sound crashed over her like a wave. The arena was massive, open to the sky, surrounded by thousands of Velarans in seats that rose up in tiers. Sand covered the ground. In the royal box high above, Emperor Taiyang sat on a throne watching. Minji walked to the center of the arena. The crowd grew quiet. She turned slowly, letting them see her. Small by their standards. Plain. Human. A voice boomed across the arena. Let the trial of worth begin. A gate opened on the far side. A Velaran warrior emerged, 9 feet tall, wearing ceremonial armor that gleamed in the sun. He carried a practice sword, blunted but still dangerous. The crowd cheered. The warrior approached and bowed mockingly. Try to make this interesting, little human. Minji took a breath. In the low gravity, she felt like she could fly. Every muscle in her body was ready. She had held back her whole life, careful not to break training equipment. Conscious of her strength around normal people, she dropped into a fighting stance. The warrior laughed and charged. What happened next took 47 seconds. The warrior moved fast, his blade cutting through the air toward Minji's head. To the crowd, it must have looked like a killing blow. To Minji, who had trained in 3 times Earth's gravity, who had fought in powered armor against enemies with guns, it looked like he was moving through water. She stepped inside his swing, too close for the blade to hit her. Her fist drove into his stomach below the armor. The impact made a sound like a hammer hitting meat. The warrior's eyes went wide. He folded around her fist and collapsed to his knees. Gasping, the sword fell from his hands. Minji stepped back as he toppled forward onto the sand, trying to breathe. The crowd went silent. Then nervous laughter started. A fluke. It had to be. The human got lucky. Minji stood in the center of the arena, her breathing steady. She looked up at Emperor Taiyang in the royal box. His face showed surprise but not concern. Not yet. 2 more warriors entered the arena. These moved carefully, approaching from different sides. They had seen what happened to the first. They would not underestimate her again. The one on her left struck first, a sweeping kick meant to take her legs out. Minji jumped. In Earth's gravity, she might have cleared a foot. Here, she rose 6 feet into the air. She came down with her elbow on the warrior's shoulder. The crack echoed across the arena. He screamed and fell. The second warrior froze in shock. Minji swept his legs and he went down hard. She was already moving away before he hit the ground. The laughter stopped. The crowd leaned forward. This was not what they expected. More warriors entered. 4 this time. They spread out, trying to surround her. Smart, but they were thinking about fighting someone their own size and strength. Minji let them close in. Then she moved. To the Valorans watching, she seemed to blur. She was not faster than them, not really, but every motion was exact. No wasted movement, no hesitation. She had been taught by soldiers who survived real wars, not ceremonial champions who trained for show. A warrior swung his practice sword. She caught his wrist, twisted, and felt bones grind. He dropped the sword. She kicked his knee backward. He fell. Another came from behind. She ducked under his grab, drove her shoulder into his chest, and lifted him off his feet. In Earth gravity, she could not have done it. Here, she threw him 6 feet through the air. The other two backed away. Their faces showed fear now. One dropped his weapon and raised his hands in surrender. The crowd erupted in angry shouts. This was wrong. This was not how it was supposed to go. In the royal box, Emperor Taeyang stood. The old woman in red beside him was speaking urgently. Other nobles argued loudly, but Taeyang's eyes stayed on Minji. The 8th warrior entered alone. He was different from the others. Older, scarred. He wore less armor and carried 2 short blades. He studied Minji like a problem to solve. "You are well trained," he said as he circled her, "but you have not killed yet. You are holding back." Minji said nothing. Her instructors had taught her that talking during a fight was wasting breath, but he was right. She was pulling her punches. If she hit any of these warriors with full strength, she would break them. The veteran attacked. He was better than the others. He used his reach, stayed at distance, tested her defenses, but he was still thinking like someone from a light world. He did not understand what it meant to come from a place where gravity tried to crush you every day, where the air was thick enough to drown in, where the smallest predator could tear a man apart. Evolution had made humans into something the galaxy was not ready for. Minji stopped holding back. Just a little. She caught one of his blades with her bare hand. The edge cut her palm, but not deeply. The veteran's eyes widened. He tried to pull back. She held on and yanked him forward, off balance. Her other hand struck his chest, not hard enough to kill, but hard enough. He flew backward and hit the sand. He tried to get up, swayed, and fell again. Medical staff rushed onto the field to carry him away. Blood dripped from Minji's palm onto the sand. She ignored it. The crowd was silent now. Completely silent. Thousands of people and not one made a sound. Then a voice called out, amplified across the arena. "The trial continues. More warriors, until the human submits." Minji looked up. The old woman in red stood at the rail of the royal box, her face twisted with anger. Emperor Taeyang stood beside her, his expression unreadable. Gates opened around the arena. Not more champions, regular guards. 20 of them, wearing full armor, carrying shock sticks and net launchers. Tools for subduing prisoners and controlling riots. Captain Hyun's voice crackled in Minji's ear, transmitted through her suit's hidden comm. "Minji, this has gone beyond a trial. They are trying to capture you." "I know," she said quietly. "Earth's ship is ready. We can get you out." "No." Minji watched the guards form a circle around her. "That is what they want. For me to run. To prove humans are cowards." She took a breath. "How many people are watching this?" "The broadcast is going across the Empire. Maybe 1 billion viewers. And I am sending it to every human ship in the sector." "Good." Minji felt something settle in her chest, something cold and hard. "Then let them see." The guards moved in. They tried to work together, trained soldiers following a plan. Nets flew at her. She dodged, her movements flowing like water. Shock sticks crackled with energy. She grabbed one warrior's wrist and redirected the stick into his partner. Both fell, twitching. She moved through them like a storm, every strike precise, every counter perfectly timed. This was not like fighting the champions. This was real combat, and she had been trained for it since childhood. A shock stick caught her shoulder. Pain shot through her arm, muscles seizing. She powered through it, broke the weapon, and swept the guard's legs. Another net tangled her for a moment. She tore it apart with her hands, the cord snapping like thread. The Velerans were skilled. They had discipline and training. But they were not ready for someone who could hit like a battering ram and move like wind. They were not ready for someone who had practiced fighting in gravity chambers set to crush normal humans. They were not ready for a Deathworlder. 10 minutes passed, then 20. Guards fell, groaning, their armor dented, their pride shattered. The ones still standing began to back away. One dropped his weapon and ran. Then another. A commander shouted orders. The remaining guards looked at each other. They looked at Minji standing in the center of the arena, barely breathing hard, surrounded by their fallen comrades. They looked back at their commander, then they refused. One by one they lowered their weapons and stepped back. They would not attack her, orders or not. The commander's face went red. He screamed at them, threatened them. They stood firm. Minji spoke, her voice somehow carrying across the silent arena. I came here for peace, for a marriage that would join our peoples. Instead, you made this a trial. You wanted to prove humans were weak, primitive. She turned slowly, looking at all the faces watching from the stands. Are you satisfied? In the royal box, Emperor Taiyang stepped forward. For the first time, Minji saw emotion on his face. Not anger, something like fear. Not fear of her, she realized. Fear of what this meant. Guards, he called out. His voice cracked slightly. Stand down. The old woman in red grabbed his arm, hissing something. He pulled away from her. I said, stand down. The Emperor's voice was stronger now. The trial is over. Princess Minji has proven her worth 10 times over. But Minji was looking at the old woman, at the rage on her face, at the way other nobles gathered close to her, whispering. This was not over. The trial might be, but something else had begun. No, Minji said clearly. The trial is not over until I say it is over. She stood in the center of the arena, in the low gravity that made her feel weightless, surrounded by fallen warriors, her hand bleeding onto the sand. She looked up at the Emperor who had meant to humiliate her, at the nobles who had laughed at Earth, at the crowd that had come to see a human break. You want to see what we are? She spread her arms. Then send more warriors. Send your best. Send your machines, because I am not done teaching you. The crowd erupted. Some screamed in outrage, others in fear. In the royal box, nobles argued violently. Emperor Taiyang stood frozen, trapped between tradition and the reality unfolding before him. And across the galaxy, on a billion screens, people watched a human stand alone against an empire and refuse to bow. The Emperor stared down at Minji for a long moment. Then he turned and spoke to someone behind him. Alarms began to sound throughout the arena. What are you doing? The old woman in red demanded. What she asked for, Taiyang said coldly. She wants to see our best. She will get it. New gates opened. These warriors were different. They wore black armor without decoration. They carried real weapons, not practice blades. They moved with the efficient grace of people who had killed before. The Imperial Guard, the Emperor's personal protectors, the finest warriors in the Valoran Empire. 12 of them spread across the arena. They did not circle Minji like the others had. They took positions covering angles, preparing a coordinated assault. These were not champions trained for ceremony. These were soldiers. Captain Hyun's voice came through again. Minji, those are trained killers. They will not hold back. Good, she said. I am tired of holding back too. The first attack came from 3 directions at once. Blades flashed in the sunlight. Minji moved between them, feeling the weapons cut through the air inches from her body. Her instructors on Earth had taught her that the best defense was not to block, but to not be there. She grabbed one warrior's arm as he struck, used his momentum to throw him into another. They tangled and fell. The third warrior adjusted his attack mid-swing, showing impressive skill. His blade came for her throat. Minji caught the blade with both hands. It cut into her palms, but she held it. The warrior's eyes widened behind his helmet. He pulled with all his strength. The blade did not move. With a sharp twist, Minji snapped it. The warrior stumbled backward. Minji kicked him in the chest. He flew 6 feet and crashed into the arena wall. Blood ran freely from her hands now. She could feel her suit's medical system trying to seal the wounds, but she ripped away the patches. Let them see, she thought. Let them see that humans bleed and keep fighting. More guards attacked. They were learning. They kept their distance, used their longer reach, tried to wear her down. It was smart tactics. Against anyone else from a light world it would have worked, but Minji was not from a light world. Every breath she took in this thin air felt like not enough. Every movement in this weak gravity felt like she might fly away. She had trained her entire life fighting against her own planet's attempts to crush her. These warriors, skilled as they were, did not understand what that meant. One guard tried to shoot her with a net launcher. She caught the net midair and threw it back, tangling two warriors. Another swung a shock stick at her head. She ducked under it, came up inside his guard and struck his knee. He fell with a cry. The crowd was roaring now. Some were cheering for her. Most were screaming in outrage. How dare this human embarrass the Valoran guard? How dare she refuse to submit? In the royal box, nobles surrounded Emperor Taeyang, all shouting at once. The old woman in red was loudest of all. End this. Activate the arena defenses. Subdue her before she makes us all look weak. Taeyang's jaw tightened. He looked at Minji, standing surrounded by his elite guards, bleeding and unbowed. Then he nodded to a technician. The arena floor began to hum. Energy barriers flickered into existence, trying to box Minji in. Gravity fields activated, attempting to push her down. Restraint cables shot from hidden ports in the walls. Minji felt the gravity field press on her. It was strong, maybe twice Valoran normal. It pushed her toward the sand. The crowd gasped, certain she would fall. Instead, Minji laughed. It was not a happy sound. It was the laugh of someone hearing a dark joke. Twice Valoran gravity was still only 1.2 Earth standard. She had trained in 3 times that. She straightened under the pressure like it was nothing. The crowd's gasps turned to shocked silence. The restraint cables wrapped around her arms. She flexed and they snapped. The energy barriers hummed around her. She studied them for a moment, then struck one with her fist. The barrier flickered. She hit it again, harder. The barrier shattered in a cascade of sparks. Across the arena, technicians stared at their controls in disbelief. The defense systems were designed to stop rampaging war beasts and mechanized assault units. A single biological creature should not be able to break them. But humans were not like other species. They came from a world that tried to kill them in 1,000 different ways. Evolution had made them tough in ways the galaxy did not understand. Dense bones that did not break easily, muscles that could burn energy for hours, immune systems that treated poison as a challenge, brains that refused to quit even when logic said to stop. Deathworlders. The word suddenly made sense to everyone watching. More guards attacked. Minji was faster now, her movements sharper. She was not getting tired. If anything, she was warming up. Fighting in low gravity with thin air was like a training exercise after real combat conditions. She disarmed a warrior and used his own blade against his partner's armor, striking pressure points she had memorized from the briefing files Earth had given her. She turned another warrior's shield into a club, swinging it with enough force to dent armor. She used the arena itself, throwing sand in faces, kicking warriors into walls, using every advantage the environment gave her. The guards began to falter. They had come to subdue a prisoner. Instead, they were fighting something that would not stop, could not be stopped. One by one, they fell or retreated. Minji stood in the center of the arena again. Her combat suit was torn and dirty. Blood covered her hands and dripped from a cut above her eye. 20 guards lay groaning around her. The mechanical defenses sparked and smoked, broken. She looked up at Emperor Taeyang and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. "Is this your best?" The arena fell silent. Even the nobles stopped arguing. Everyone stared at the small human standing surrounded by destruction, asking for more. In the stands, a young Valoran boy tugged his father's sleeve. "Papa, why does she not fall down?" His father, an old general with scars from real wars, watched Minji with a strange expression. "Because, child, she comes from a world where everything is trying to kill you. The air, the water, the animals, the weather, even the planet itself. Evolution made them into survivors. Into predators. Into living weapons." He shook his head slowly. "We should never have challenged them." Ambassador Soman had somehow made her way to the arena floor. She ran toward Minji, her face pale with fear and worry. "Princess, please! This has gone too far. You have proven yourself. Let us end this before someone dies." Minji looked at her. "Someone will die, Ambassador. If not today, then tomorrow or next year or in 10 years. Because they will always see us as lesser, as primitive, as something to be controlled." She gestured at the fallen guards. "Now they see us as dangerous. That is better. That they can respect. They will fear us. Yes, Minji's voice was hard. And maybe that will keep them from trying this again. From thinking they can test us, humiliate us, break us whenever they want. Emperor Taiyang descended from the royal box. He came alone, walking across the sand toward Minji. The crowd murmured in shock. To approach her now, unarmed after everything, was either very brave or very foolish. He stopped 10 feet away. Up close, Minji could see he was younger than she thought. Maybe 25. His eyes were intelligent, but there was doubt in them now. You have made your point, Princess of Earth, he said quietly. The trial is over. You have won, have I? Minji gestured at the watching crowd. Will they accept it? Will she? She nodded toward the old woman in red, still glaring from the royal box. High Minister Bora does not rule this empire. I do. Taeyang's voice was stronger now. And I declare the trial of worth complete. Princess Minji has proven herself worthy 100 times over. The marriage will proceed. As equals? Minji asked. Taeyang hesitated. She saw him look at his guards, at the broken defenses, at the blood on the sand. She saw him realize something that his advisors and ministers had not let him see before. As equals, he agreed. The crowd erupted, half cheered, half screamed in protest. In the royal box, High Minister Bora looked like she wanted to strike someone. Other nobles argued violently, but Minji was watching Taeyang's face. She saw respect there now, grudging but real. She also saw fear. Not of her specifically, but of what she represented. Earth had been patient for 50 years, accepting insults, taking smaller positions at the negotiating table, being treated as junior partners. That had just ended. Then the trial is over, Minji said. She swayed slightly as adrenaline began to fade and pain took its place. Captain Hyun appeared, having somehow made it past security. He caught her as her knees buckled. I have you. You did well. You did so well. Medical staff rushed forward with stretchers and supplies. They tried to approach Minji, but she waved them toward the fallen guards first. Help them. I am not dying. As they carried her from the arena, Minji looked up at the sky. Somewhere beyond those purple clouds, the broadcast was spreading across the galaxy. Humans were watching. Aliens were watching. They were all seeing the same thing. Earth had arrived, and it would not bow. 3 days passed. Minji spent them in the medical wing, where Velaran doctors worked frantically to heal her wounds. They seemed amazed that she was even alive, let alone healing so quickly. Human biology, it turned out, was full of surprises. Captain Hyun visited every day, bringing reports from Earth and from the galactic networks. The arena footage had spread like fire across the stars. Every planet, every station, every ship had seen it. The debate it sparked was tearing political alliances apart. The traditionalist worlds are calling you a barbarian, Hyun reported, sitting beside her bed. They want Earth sanctioned, maybe even expelled from the Galactic Council. And the others? The others are scared. 7 other Deathworld species have contacted Earth directly. They want to talk about forming an alliance. Military contracts are flooding in from small nations who want human security forces. He paused. Minji, you have changed everything. I just defended myself. You embarrassed the Valoran Empire in front of 1 billion people. You proved that humans are dangerous. Really dangerous. Hyun leaned forward. The question now is what comes next. Before Minji could answer, the door opened. Ambassador Soman entered, looking exhausted. Behind her came Emperor Taeyang, without guards, without ceremony. He wore simple robes and his face looked tired. I need to speak with Princess Minji alone, he said. Hyun and Somin exchanged glances but left. The door closed behind them. Taeyang stood awkwardly for a moment, then sat in the chair Hyun had vacated. Your doctors say you will be fully healed in a week, he began. Your doctors are impressed that I survived. I heard them talking. Minji sat up straighter in the bed. They did not understand that humans are difficult to kill. Clearly. Taeyang looked at his hands. I owe you an apology. The trial was my idea. High Minister Bora and the other traditionalists wanted it, but I agreed. I thought... He trailed off. You thought you would put me in my place. Show everyone that humans should be grateful for whatever scraps you gave us. Yes. He met her eyes. I was raised believing that the Valoran Empire was the peak of civilization, that other species, especially young ones from heavy worlds, were lesser. Primitive. I believed the propaganda. He gestured toward the window, where the city spread out below. 3 days ago you shattered that belief in front of my entire empire. You could have stopped it at any time, Minji said. You chose to let it continue, I did. And that is my shame. Taeyang stood and walked to the window. Do you know what the empire is like now? Half the nobles want to cancel the marriage and send you home in disgrace. The other half want to imprison you as a threat to public safety. The military is split. Some admirals want to prepare for war with Earth. Others want to hire human trainers for our forces. And what do you want? He turned back to her. I want to understand. You stood alone against trained warriors, against weapons designed to subdue war machines, against every advantage we could throw at you. And you won. Not just won. You made it look easy. His voice dropped. What else can humans do? Minji considered lying. Considered downplaying her abilities to keep Earth's true strength hidden. But the time for hiding was over. That had been the point of the arena. I am not special among humans, she said. I trained with the military, yes. I am in good physical condition. But there are millions of humans stronger than me, faster than me, better trained than me. I am a princess who learned to fight. There are soldiers who have fought in real wars against enemies with guns and bombs and chemical weapons. Taeyang's face went pale. You are not special? We all train in Earth gravity. One Earth gravity is almost twice what you have here. When I stand on this world, when I move, when I breathe, everything is easier, lighter, faster. She held up her bandaged hands. Your doctors were amazed that I could catch blades with my hands and only get shallow cuts. They said my skin is much tougher than theirs. My bones are denser. My muscles are stronger pound for pound. Why? Because Earth is a death world. The classification is not just a label. It means something. Minji remembered her lessons, the briefings before she left home. Earth has higher gravity, thicker atmosphere, more radiation from our sun, more dangerous weather, and more aggressive predators than any world in the Empire. Humans evolved to survive all of that. Our bodies are built for survival. Taeyang sat down slowly, like his legs would not hold him. And you came here alone. Agreed to marry me, knowing we saw you as lesser, because Earth needs allies, because we are new to the galaxy and we need to learn, to grow, to find our place. Minji's voice was gentle but firm. But we will not be slaves. We will not be pets. We will not bow and accept insults because some empire thinks it is better than us. What do you want? Taeyang asked. Truly, what does Earth want? To be equals. To have our voice heard in the council. To trade fairly, not from a position of weakness. To be respected. She paused. Is that so much? No, he admitted. It is not. He stood and walked back to the window, looking out over his capital. I am young for an emperor. I took the throne 3 years ago when my father died. The ministers and nobles, people like High Minister Bora, they have been ruling through me, telling me what to think, what to do. They fear change. They fear losing their power. And you? I fear I have been a fool. He turned back to her. The marriage was their idea. They thought binding Earth to the Empire would control you, make you dependent on us. But you are not controllable, are you? No more than you are, Minji said. You could have ordered the trial stopped. You could have protected me, but you wanted to see if I would break. Now you know I will not. What happens now? Taeyang asked. Be honest with me. Will Earth declare war over this insult? Minji had wondered the same thing. She knew that back home the military commanders were furious. Parliament was debating responses. Her father, the chairman, had sent her 3 encrypted messages asking if she wanted to come home. That depends on you, she said finally. Earth does not want war. War would cost millions of lives, maybe billions. It would devastate trade, break alliances, leave the galaxy weaker. She looked at him steadily. But Earth will not accept being treated as less than others. If the marriage is cancelled, if we are dismissed or insulted again, then yes, there will be consequences. And if the marriage proceeds, if I declare before the Galactic Council that Earth and the Valoran Empire are equal partners, then we have peace. We have alliance. We have a future. Minji felt the weight of what she was saying. She was not just a princess anymore. She was deciding the fate of billions. But it cannot be just words. There must be real changes. Real respect, Taeyang nodded slowly. He seemed to be thinking hard, weighing options. The traditionalists will fight this. High Minister Bora has already begun gathering support to remove me from the throne. She will use the arena incident as proof that I am weak, that I cannot control even a single human. Can you stop her? Maybe, if I have allies. If I have proof that the new path is better than the old one. He looked at Minji intently. If I had Earth's support, you want me to help you keep your throne? I want us to help each other. You said humans want to be equals. That means sometimes you lead and sometimes you follow. Sometimes you compromise. Taeyang's voice was stronger now, more certain. I am offering a real alliance. Not one where you bow to me or I bow to you. One where we stand together. Minji studied his face. He was young and had made terrible mistakes. But she saw honesty there now. She saw someone willing to learn, to change, to be better. Tell me your plan, she said. They talked for hours. By the time Ambassador Soman and Captain Hyun were allowed back in, the sun was setting. Minji and Taeyang were sitting together, speaking quietly, occasionally laughing. It was not love. It might never be, but it was the beginning of understanding. Ambassador, Taeyang said formally, please arrange a broadcast to the Empire and to the Galactic Council. Tomorrow I will make an announcement. What kind of announcement? Soman asked carefully. The kind that changes everything, Minji answered. She looked at Taeyang. Are you ready for this? No, he admitted. But you were not ready for the arena either. You did it anyway. I had no choice. We always have choices, Princess. The question is whether we are brave enough to make the right ones. The next day, Emperor Taeyang stood before cameras broadcasting to the entire empire and beyond. Beside him, wearing fresh clothes but still showing fading bruises, stood Princess Minji. People of the Valoran Empire, members of the Galactic Council, citizens of all worlds, Taeyang began. His voice was clear and strong. 3 days ago, you witnessed something that has forced me to reconsider everything I believed about power, about civilization, about what it means to be strong. He gestured to Minji. Princess Minji of Earth came here in peace. She came to build a bridge between our peoples. Instead, I subjected her to a trial meant to humiliate her and her entire species. I did this because I was taught that humans were primitive, that they needed to be controlled, managed, kept in their place. Minji saw shock on the faces of the nobles behind them. No emperor admitted fault publicly. I was wrong, Taeyang said clearly. Humans are not primitive. They are different. They come from a world that made them strong in ways we do not understand. They have qualities we lack. And rather than fear that, rather than try to suppress it, we should celebrate it. Learn from it. Grow from it. He turned 3 weeks later. The wedding ceremony took place in the grand hall of the Valoran Palace. It was a massive chamber with crystal walls that caught the light and painted everything in rainbow colors. Thousands attended in person. Billions watched across the galaxy. The ceremony blended human and Valoran traditions. Minji wore a dress of white and gold that flowed like water, designed by artists from both worlds. Taeyang wore robes that combined Valoran blue with Earth's colors. They spoke vows in multiple languages, promising partnership, respect, and understanding. But underneath the beauty, tension simmered. Guards lined every wall more than usual. Security sweeps had been conducted 3 times. Ambassador Somin had received anonymous threats. Captain Hyun had not slept well in days. Something is wrong, Hyun whispered to Minji as they processed through the hall. Too many of the traditionalist nobles are smiling. I feel it too, Minji replied quietly. Her combat instincts, honed by years of training, were screaming warnings. Stay alert, the ceremony proceeded. They exchanged rings, traditional Valoran crystals alongside human gold. They drank from a shared cup. They walked together before the assembled guests while musicians played. Then came the reception. Tables of food from 100 worlds, dignitaries offering congratulations and thinly veiled warnings. Minji smiled and nodded, playing the role of gracious bride, but her eyes never stopped scanning the crowd. High Minister Bora approached with a group of stern-faced nobles. Your Majesty, Princess, how lovely that you are both here together. Such a rare moment of unity. The way she said it made Minji's skin prickle. Minister Bora, thank you for attending. Oh, I would not miss this for all the stars in the galaxy. Bora's smile was sharp. It is not every day we see such dramatic changes to tradition. Traditions can change, Taeyang said firmly. Times change. People change. Empires must change too, or they die. Indeed. Bora sipped her drink. Death, change. Sometimes they are the same thing. She walked away. Taeyang and Minji exchanged glances. That sounded like a threat, Minji said. It was, Taeyang confirmed. He signaled to his personal guard, a young man named Junho who had proven loyal. Increase security. Watched the ministers closely, but it was too late. The lights went out. Screams erupted across the hall. Energy barriers slammed down, trapping sections of the crowd. In the darkness, Minji heard the distinct sound of weapons charging. Minji! Taeyang's voice, close but separated by a barrier. Her combat training took over. She dropped low, avoiding the panic of the crowd. Her eyes adjusted quickly to the dim emergency lighting. 6 figures in black armor were moving through the chaos, heading straight for her. Assassins. She had no weapons. Her wedding dress was not armor, but she was still a human from Earth, and humans did not need weapons to be dangerous. The first assassin reached her, raising an energy blade. Minji grabbed a chair and swung it with all her strength. In the low gravity, the impact sent the assassin flying into a wall. His armor cracked. The others adjusted their approach, spreading out using the crowd as cover. Smart, but Minji had fought in urban environments during Earth's border wars. She knew how to use chaos. She moved through the panicking guests, using them as shields, always staying in motion. An assassin fired a dart at her. She twisted, and it hit a marble column instead, the tip sinking deep into the stone. Poison, she realized. They were not trying to capture her. They wanted her dead. Another assassin lunged. She caught his wrist, twisted, and heard bones break. She took his blade and immediately threw it at a third assassin, catching him in the shoulder joint where his armor was weak. He fell. Captain Hyun appeared from somewhere in the chaos, carrying a shock stick he must have taken from a guard. He fought beside her, covering her back. There are more in the West Wing. They are trying to reach the Emperor. Go, Minji shouted. Protect Taeyang. I can handle this. Hyun hesitated only a moment before running toward where the Emperor was trapped behind a barrier. Minji faced the remaining assassins. 3 left. They were regrouping, realizing their quick strike had failed. One spoke into a communicator. Target is resisting. Deploying lethal force, windows shattered. 6 more figures in black armor rappelled into the hall from above, carrying heavy weapons. They had planned this carefully. The blackout, the barriers, the multiple attack teams. This was a coup attempt. Minji felt something cold settle in her chest. The same feeling she had in the arena. The feeling that came before she stopped holding back. She was done being the graceful bride. Done being diplomatic. These people had tried to kill her on her wedding day. Had tried to kill Taeyang. Had risked the lives of everyone in this hall. They would regret that. She moved. The assassins fired their weapons, but she was already gone, weaving between the energy blasts like she could see them coming. She used the environment perfectly, flipping tables for cover, sliding across the polished floor, using columns to shield herself. An assassin with a shock baton tried to corner her. She let him come close, then grabbed the baton mid-swing. The electricity meant to stun her coursed through her body. It hurt, badly, but humans from Deathworlds had high pain tolerance. She powered through it, yanked the baton away, and struck him across the helmet. He crumpled. She could hear fighting elsewhere in the hall. Loyal guards battling the assassins, nobles screaming. But she focused on the immediate threats around her. 2 assassins charged together, trying to overwhelm her. She ducked under a blade, came up inside their guard, and struck with her palms. The impacts drove them backward. One fell, gasping. The other swung wildly. She caught his arm and threw him using his own momentum. In Earth gravity, it would have been impossible. Here, he sailed 6 feet through the air and crashed into a food table. The last assassins realized they were failing. They started to retreat toward the broken windows. Minji could not let them escape. If they reported that she was this dangerous, future attacks would be even worse. She grabbed a serving tray, heavy metal, and threw it like a discus. It spun through the air and hit an assassin in the back of the head. He fell from the rope he was climbing. Security forces finally broke through the barriers. Loyal guards flooded the hall, weapons ready. The remaining assassins surrendered or died fighting. The coup was broken. Minji ran toward where Taeyang had been trapped. The barrier was down. She found him surrounded by guards, with Captain Hyun and Junho standing protectively in front of him. Blood stained Taeyang's robes, but he was standing. "Are you hurt?" She called. "Minor cut. You?" "I am well." She looked around at the destroyed hall, the injured guests, the dead assassins. Was this Bora? Taeyang's face was hard. Yes, guards found her in the security control room. She had 30 nobles with her, all part of the plot. They planned to kill us both and blame it on humans. Use it as justification to expel Earth from the Empire and seize power. What will you do with her? She will stand trial. They all will. Taeyang looked at Minji with new respect. You fought 9 assassins in a wedding dress and won. My guards are calling you the demon princess. I am not a demon. I am just human. To them, that is the same thing now. He smiled slightly. Thank you for saving my life again. You are my husband now. That is what partners do. The wedding reception ended with medical teams treating the wounded and security forces arresting conspirators. It was not the celebration anyone had planned. But in a strange way, it achieved something important. The galaxy saw that Minji and Taeyang had fought together against a common enemy. Saw that they protected each other. Saw that the alliance was real. Over the next months, things began to change. The traditionalist nobles were removed from power. New advisors, younger and more open-minded, took their places. Earth's voice in the Galactic Council grew stronger. Trade agreements were renegotiated fairly. Other Deathworld species watched and learned. If humans could earn respect, so could they. An alliance began to form, unofficial at first, between worlds that had been dismissed as primitive. Minji and Taeyang's marriage remained political, but genuine friendship grew between them. They learned each other's languages, shared stories of their worlds, and slowly built trust. One morning, Minji woke to find Taeyang in his study, reviewing reports. He looked tired. What is wrong? She asked. Sensors have detected a fleet at the edge of our territory. Unknown ships. They are not responding to communications and are moving toward our outer colonies. He looked up at her. The military wants to send our forces to intercept. How many ships? 40 heavily armed. Our analysts think they are raiders or maybe a rival empire testing our strength. Minji thought for a moment. Send a message to Earth, tell them we need assistance. Then send your fleet, but hold back. Let me go with them. You are not a soldier anymore. You are my wife. I cannot risk you. You need to show strength, but also show the alliance works. Let Earth's military work with yours. Let them see what we can do together. She smiled. And I am still a soldier. I was just on vacation for a wedding. 3 days later, a joint Velaran Earth fleet intercepted the unknown ships. When the raiders saw human warships flying alongside Valoran vessels, when they received a message in perfect synchronization demanding they withdraw, they hesitated. Intelligence reports had reached them too.